Hey everyone, I want to do a quick video and 71,800 mile update on my 2021 Alfa Romeo Stelvio TI, and just talk to you a little bit about how these last 71,000 miles have gone. I've had this car since 43,000 miles, have learned a little bit along the way on what was replaced on this car before I owned it, what might need to be replaced going forward, and then as well as some bigger updates in terms of just how the car's driven over the last like 5 to 10,000 miles or so. And this kind of builds off of my last update that was just before 70,000 miles for those of you that are following the channel. All right, so in my last video I covered that there was like a front wheel shimmy that's happening on the highway somewhere between 70 and 80 miles per hour. That seems to smooth out a little bit when you get like above 80 miles per hour. Yeah, so that shimmy unfortunately just kept getting a little bit worse with every single drive that I took. It wasn't like drastic in terms of like the steering wheel was shaking side to side so much that you couldn't control the vehicle, but it was an annoying shake that was happening. So between swapping out the tires for the Michelin Primacy models that were offered to me by Michelin USA to review for you guys, and swapping out those, getting them rebalanced 3 times, then switching back to the Pirelli Weather Actives, Scorpion Weather Actives that were on the car originally when I bought it, and then balancing those twice. It made it maybe even slightly better. There wasn't quite as much shaking. Then I got a four-wheel alignment at the dealer, so they did that, but that still didn't fully resolve the issue. So the vibration at the front end was still there. So I finally took it back, had them look at it, and luckily this is a certified pre-owned car, and I jacked the car up myself with my father, and pulled off the front wheels, put the car on jack stands, and then shook a bunch of suspension components and found that there were a few loose components in there, and showed the video to the dealer about a week later when I made an appointment. They replicated that those were looser than they should be. They should have maybe a tiny bit of play because they're rubberized bushings that attach the 2 lower control arms and the sway bar end links to the rest of the suspension and chassis of the vehicle. But they replaced all 3 components on each side of the vehicle. I think grand total, if this was not covered under warranty, would have been somewhere around $3,700 after tax, shop fees, and labor, as well as the parts. Parts only make up about half that cost. The rest was labor because I had to take apart the suspension system for the entire side of the vehicle, the whole front A-arm system and all that. So luckily, certified pre-owned warranty for the Alfa Romeo covered all that. Diagnostic fee was included in that as well. So luckily that really helped resolve the majority of the issue. Unfortunately, there is still a front vibration with the car, mostly on the highway again at those same speeds. It seems to get worse as the car increases speed, so my next plan of action is to get the wheels balanced again and also check to see if the rims are bent and if the tires have any like cupping issues or things like that. I also know that the front brakes are warped, so I wonder if as I increase the speed, and as you can tell from the front brake rotors here, the front pads there are very slightly pressed up against the surface of the rotor, and I think that's by design because the other side does the exact same thing. So if I take a look at this side, kind of see it does the same thing. There isn't really any space between the rotor and the brake pad at rest when you're not pressing the brake pedal, so there is a slight rub there. So if you have slightly deformed or warped front brake rotors, that slight shaking side to side could be caused by that surface rubbing against each other. The faster you go and the more pronounced it becomes. And this car is very sensitive steering. It's all about feedback and sportiness, quick response, things like that. So that could be why I feel this a lot more than if another car had slightly warped front brake rotors. So that's just something to keep in mind. So I think those are my next steps here. I might be reviewing some other Michelin or BF Goodrich tires this fall, and then I'll probably try replacing the front brake rotors and pads myself with some ones from Euro Compulsion that are offered by R1 Concepts. So I'll be trying to do that a little bit. So I think those are my next steps here. overall, I mean, everything so far on this car in terms of like the big repair items has been covered by warranty, but trying to be cost effective and trying to make sure that I can get a smooth running car while not using up my entire budget to do so. The other things to note here, over 71,000 miles, the rear brake pads and rotors were replaced with those R1 Concepts Geomet aftermarket rotors and pads, ceramic pads I should add. So I replaced those. I've replaced the engine air filter, the cabin air filter. Let's see, the steering wheel was replaced on this car because the button bank wouldn't allow for the cruise control to be lit up at night when the headlights are on. So the biggest thing, about 20,000 miles ago, maybe it was 15,000 miles ago, the cruise control cancel light and activation light wouldn't illuminate at night, so they had to replace that whole button bank. Then there was also an issue where there was a plastic creaking or cracking noise from the steering column of the vehicle, kind of where the clock spring is located. And the clock spring housing, which is like a plastic housing that goes around the clock spring assembly that helps time like the airbag deployments and things like that, that assembly had cracked and is causing a cracking noise when you make parking lot maneuvers in tight turns. So that was replaced under warranty as well. So grand total for those two steering wheel related repairs came to about $1,200, and that was covered under warranty as well, so that's the good news. Another item that was replaced under warranty was the cabin HVAC fan. So the fan was squeaking in extremely cold temperatures, and apparently one of the bearings is just known to go out on these, along with other FCA vehicles. The motor is shared between like Ram, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Maserati, Alfa Romeo, and all the brands. Just a common failure mode with the bearings starting to make squeaking noises and wear out over time. So cabin HVAC motor was replaced. I think that would have been $300 to $400 under warranty, and that was also covered. So that's the good news. Then there was also a recall with this vehicle for the front airbag sensors, that the Hall effect sensors that are in the seatbelt mechanism that interact with the SRS supplemental restraint system airbag electronic system, and the sensors can basically have a short, and the answer is to basically directly solder the wiring from the seat and seatbelt mechanism to the SRS airbag system, so there isn't like a conduit or like a connection point that could be a failure. So that was the airbag recall that affected pretty much all 2017 through 2024 Alfa Romeo Giulias and Stelvios. So if you have one of these cars, you were very likely affected by the recall. So that's another thing that had to be fixed on it, but of course covered under warranty again. Another thing that was done in this car was a software update for the ECU, or the electronic control unit, and the driveline control module that included the transmission control module on the vehicle. I was complaining about some harsh shifts at low speeds, and then also there was a start-stop system that was a little clunky at low speeds on restart. That would cause it to kind of jolt forward and was slow on restart. And also like a slight warning lamp would illuminate very briefly on some restarts for that stop-start system. It still does that, but luckily the ECU was updated on this and improved the low-speed drivability of the car. So it went from the transmission control logic and software from 2021, April of 2021 when this car was built, all the way up until I think it was December of 2023 or early 2024 when I did the software update. So it likely has the same transmission and engine control software that the 2024 models had. So that's another thing that was done. Of course, that was also covered under warranty, so that's the good news there. And the last thing to note was the battery finally failed on this car after about 63,700 miles in November of 2024. Basically went out to my garage. It was cold outside. I think it got down to 26 degrees Fahrenheit. Here in the upper Midwest in the United States, it gets pretty cold in late November. I think this was November 22nd, November 23rd. And so I called roadside assistance. They came out, they replaced the battery. It's not a covered item under the certified pre-owned warranty. It was under the original factory 4-year, 50,000 mile warranty, but not under the certified pre-owned warranty that goes 5 years or 100,000 miles. So that original Varda enhanced flooded battery, EFB battery, finally died at 63,700 miles. And I had a feeling back in April of 2024, so about 7 months prior, I had a feeling that it was starting to go because the car was not restarting very easily and as often at stoplights and upon like a cold start. But I put it on a battery tender, and then once it got warmer outside, the battery was fine again, and it was fine all the way up until that cold spell in November of 2024, and then it just died. So yep, somewhere around $360 later, got that replaced with another enhanced flooded battery, not an AGM, which I would have preferred, but roadside assistance didn't have it. It is a pretty large battery. It's the H8 size, which is the largest common one that you could find in a passenger vehicle. So it's still a lead acid, but it's vented to the atmosphere through the trunk. There's a little vent valve that has a hose that goes to the atmosphere, so you won't have any battery fumes if there was like any gas expansion or anything like that in a lead acid battery. That was on the original battery that came with the car too, so just something to keep in mind there. So again, really the only things that I've had to pay for are filters, tires, tire rotations, oil changes, and rear brake pads and rotors out of pocket. But this car has been to the dealer for warranty items and recalls probably 7 or 8 times in the 2.5 years that I've had the car, so it has been pretty often. So you have to really keep up on these cars if you want to, you know, maintain them. And I do about 70 to 80% highway miles, and my average miles per gallon is 28.5. So not driving this car very hard. It's just unfortunate that a few things have come up along the way, so I'm glad I've had a warranty for that. I'll be doing an update on my wife's 2022 Subaru Outback, but let's just say that car has had far fewer issues, and that's up to about 47,500 miles now. So I'll be doing a separate video on that 2022 Outback and an update on that vehicle. So that's pretty much it for 115,000 kilometers, which is 71,500 miles, which this car has. And I'll do a quick startup here so you guys can see before this like storm rolls in here. Let's hop in, do a quick startup. Yeah, you can see we got 71,843 miles on the clock. And it starts right up without any issues. It's a pretty warm day, 88 degrees. But yeah, fires right up without any hiccups, so works pretty well. AC still blows cold, so I'll take that. All right, guys, that's it for this 2021 Alfa Romeo Stelvio TI Q4 review today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the section below. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.